for the rattle? Oh, okay. Welcome everyone. Happy Friday. Always something fun going on at Dundon Motorsports. We oscillate between woohoo and oh shit most of the time. So hence that's what small businesses do, and kind of why we do it. Kind of the two ways of the two emotions. You don't typically find a middle stagnant ground in this when you're trying to invent and figure things out and understand things and all this kind of stuff. So we've got some things to go over. I'll give you a quick rundown so that those of you who might join us later will come here and see if you want to continue perusing this fine Whiskey Friday. First things first, what's in the glass? So this is a good evening, my fine Canadian brother. How are you, friend? Brian Himmelman has joined us from the snowy land of Nova Scotia, if that's where he's at. I don't know if he's actually there now or someplace warmer and sunnier. Typical. This is some Colonel Taylor bourbon with some Croatian medicinal after dinner wine. Happy Michter's Friday, indeed. With a Luxardo cherry. So it's a Dundon Manhattan because that's the version of vermouth that we have in the cabinet. Cheers. We're going to talk a little bit about Porsche's financial situation and their pivot away from EV and how much money this is costing them. So that's one. We're going to talk a little bit, give you guys a quick update on the 992 GT3 RS CFD progress. That has been running in the sim as of this week. We'll have some more info on that for you next week. Speaking of next week, some of you who would like to stay married, Whiskey Friday falls on Valentine's Day next week. So next week it will be Whiskey Thursday because I would like to stay married. I would not like to come home at 7 o'clock and get the stare from my wife that, do you know what day it is? Yeah, yes, actually I do. And I knew last week. So now I can forget and be even in more trouble. But I said it here so that I can remember it. I can review it later. We're going to discuss, we dropped a new video for everyone. It is on our YouTube channel. It goes through the complexities and the amount of work it takes to 3D scan a thing and to actually turn that into a workable oh boy, I'll come back to the sweater and the after dinner wine. Technically hooch, Croatian medicinal hooch. So not that refined for you, Justin. Good job. You made me lose my train of thought. So Whiskey Thursday next week. New video dropped. The there was also a post that I saw that I thought was curious. Company was saying that they've embraced 3D printing into their manufacturing process. When you look at all of the parts they make one part of one thing that they make has a 3D printed section in it. We'll go through it, but the only product segment currently that we don't have anything 3D printed in is our suspension parts, and that's likely to change. So almost every single one of our exhaust parts, mufflers, headers, collectors, all of that, all have 3D printed parts, metal 3D printed parts. All of our intakes are 3D printed, have been for a long time. Some of the parts in our aerodynamic category, splitter has some 3D printed parts in it. Our wing does not. Dive planes do not. But that's that's about it. But we'll go through that, so that'll be fun. Um, we've got. Help me out, Justin. Ah, incoming new merch. Dundon Miffler. Dundon Muffler? Yeah. The paperweight company. So we're playing around with some riffs here. The office being your race car. So for those of you that don't get the joke, don't worry, I didn't get it either. I didn't watch The Office. I know I hate to say that out loud in this current context, but all good. I do appreciate the joke. This would be like what was um, what was George's company in Seinfeld? Somebody will remember. It's essentially the same thing, but a generation ago. So imprinted upon me that I remember it clearly, clearly. And Justin, my mommy made me this sweater, so not that sophisticated, but it is very comfortable. And always nice to wear something to remind me of my family. So let's jump on into Porsche's unfortunate financial situation. So there was an article that was posted that Justin will share here shortly on the wires today. That because of not a big surprise here, that looks really funny. It's like passing through the table. That's really weird. Like the image is semi-transparent. Yeah, you can see it over here. Um, it wants both. It's gonna pick them both. Yeah, you've made it semi-transparent. Now it's gone. Hey, there we go. All right. So it seems that Porsche's push into electric sports cars that nobody wanted has cost them a lot of money. That's the short story. They made 20% profits last year. They're projecting 10% net profit this year, with encumbrances totaling $880 million. Some costs that are associated with pulling away from uh, battery sports cars, EV sports cars, and moving back to internal combustion engines. Now, I am not an analyst. I didn't read all of this, but I read most of it. They are looking at, they have fired their CFO. They have fired their sales executives. Oliver Bloom, who currently runs Porsche and Volkswagen, is likely going to be moved back to solely concentrating on Volkswagen. There was an article yesterday that their Asian marketing head and somebody else, director of sales, something like that, right, Justin? Three folks, they're axed. So they're having a wholesale change at the top. And hopefully they're going to get things turned around. Now, what's curious is there was also rumor that Porsche and Volkswagen were looking at moving car production to the United States. And so the initial thought about this was that it was tariff related. That's a pretty easy thing. If Trump pushes in on tariffs, et cetera, et cetera. It seems it might be more complex than that. The current emissions regulations in Europe are such that the internal combustion engine, at least a naturally aspirated version of the internal combustion engine, will have to die. And they'll either have to go hybrid or turbo hybrid or some semblance to be able to make it past Euro 7, if I remember right, Justin? Yep. So Euro 7 emissions. Feels like it's supposed to be Euro 8. I feel like we're already in Euro 7. Anyway, so bringing them to the United States, which the U.S. was the only market in which Porsche grew sales this past year. So it's only us idiots that are willing to spend $300,000 on a 992 and CXX stitching and all of that stuff to make that happen. Other jurisdictions were more interested in Cayennes and Macans, all of this. And it seems that they're not selling as many as they once were. So, it'll be interesting to see how that all plays out. Hopefully, our favorite sports car brand will continue to make wonderful sports cars. Will continue to make money doing so, so that they continue to want to, and they don't just get absorbed into VW and go away. So, interesting. Yes, I can clip the mic higher. Am I not as boastfully loud as I normally am? Is that better? Fantastic. Cheers to being boastfully loud. How was everybody's snow day? We had snow days in the Northwest. We had a customer going out and enjoying their snow day. Our customer Ed over in Idaho went out and did turn snow into donuts. Got to get that volume cranked up. Yeah, we'll run that back and turn the sound on for you. Yeah. So, Ted lives in South Canada, Washington, and he, what are you sitting at now, Ted? Is it like 4 or 5 inches at your house? What she said. Oh, that's the OEM exhaust vid. Sorry. Thanks, Ed. The daytime vid, right? The one that he sent you on your phone yourself, Justin. Hey, there we go. In the Safeway parking lot. This must have sound. 7-ish for you. You had 6 inches last night? Holy. Gotta be careful who you say that around. 6 inches? Yeah, generally safe. Can they hear it and I can't? Yeah, that's good. As long as they can hear it, that's cool. Must have been icy under there too, huh, Ed? Your loops in the other parking lot were much more small and concentric. Or you need to go faster so you get more front arrow working. That's what we do, at least what some of these guys do out in the snow with their sports cars. I did drift my RS6 through a corner and in my neighborhood. So that was fun. Just like, whoop, 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 whoop. All my neighbors all cringing. So, yes, 6 inches embellished by the new after dinner wine. Well, you know how liquor generally works, Doc. Tends to not help the situation. Kind of counteracts that nitrous oxide. Depends on who's been drinking it. Does depend on who's been drinking the elixir. as to whether or not it's affecting their size judgment. Anywho, like Ted and I were talking earlier, with boys, it's all about farts and balls, generally speaking. So, all right. So, Dundon muffler. Let's roll through some of that. We went through some of them. There'll be a few different versions of this shirt. Watch our. For those of you who don't know, we have a merchandise store. It is the Dundon Apparel Store. You can get there through our regular first website. We have multitude of 991 and 997 and 992 wares, GT3 shirts. The link will be in the description. And we're actively pushing some new ones out, including the Dundon Muffler, a performance company, which is a riff from The Office. Those of you that know, you know, you know. Yeah, if any of you have some ideas on what you'd like us to make, please share. We'd be happy to include them. It doesn't cost us much to create a template, and then the shirts are made as they're ordered, so not too big a deal to build those. So yeah, let us know what you'd like to see. We've also been experimenting with coffee mugs. Some of these new designs may find their way onto coffee mugs. Onto the rest of the laundry list. We have a 992 GT3 here in-house, and Cobb, the tuning company, who makes the wonderful access port, has released it for the 992 GT3. And when we had our 992 GT3, and this is going back 2 cars ago now, we put our lab rat hats. I like it. We had put our intake plenum from the 991 cars on the 992. Put it on the dyno. Car was very unhappy. We do have that. Dundon Motorsports garage banners are available now, and I think on the website. Taj, I think, put those up on the website. If you can hit Brian with a link on that, that'd be perfect. So when we did it the first time with the 992 GT3, car was happy for one run on the dyno, and then it would kill the party. And it realized how much power we were making, and it was like, nah, not so happy about that. So now we're going to try and do it by massaging gently the torque limiters inside the 992 GT3, and probably playing with some other things once we get the torque limiters to be happy, which Cobb has offered to join us once we have the car ready for the dyno. So once it's there, Charles gets to look at all of the maps, of which there are a huge number. Yo, Mr. Stedding, welcome, brother. So many maps on the 992 GT3. But once we get through there, we're hopeful to be able to get it to the levels that we've been able to get the 991.2, which would be about 60 wheel horsepower over where the 992 GT3 is now, which would put it about 35 wheel horsepower over what a stock 992 GT3 RS is. So hopefully we're able to do that. That is not a guarantee, but that is the plan. That is what we're actively working on. We're working on that next week. May have some preliminary maybe updates for you by Thursday, although it's probably going to end up being the week after that. Our friend Ryan at Zebulon, our aerodynamicist and partner in all things aerodynamics, has been making headway on the 992 GT3 RS model. It has, you want to throw that model so that people can see what we're talking about. A pretty picture. It looks so nice. Corvier did that. We've been refining it, doing some of the inside body panels, some of the passageways through the car. Ryan just asked us to do a little bit more detail on the front suspension. the upper A arm, lower A arm, and tension arm, some of that. So get Justin had it organized and it disappeared. Just had to go back far enough. We haven't talked about it in a minute. So preliminary runs through the CFD sim, computational fluid dynamics simulation software. So I don't use a whole bunch of acronyms for you guys. Shows that the sim and our model are working as we'd hoped, and the initial data says that what Porsche reported publicly and what we're getting jive. So that's a great start. So he's continuing to refine that a bit. I think he's adding some stuff. We're going to have a sit down end of next week ish. Get a little recording for you guys, go through some of the data together, and then we'll publish that as the Whiskey Friday Academy 992 GPRS Aero. So stuff like that. You want a tapestry, do you? I'll get a hold of the 9-year-olds in China to get weaving for you. Holy hell. Justin Green wants a tapestry, and he's giving me shit about wearing a sweater. Come on, man. Who's too bougie for who over here? Homie wants a tapestry. Pretty funny. Pretty funny. Also, Doug joining us reminded me that we have a whole slew. I don't know how much a slew is, but it's a large amount, a slew of new suspension parts dropping, both 991 Carrera and turbo, and 992 Carrera and turbo suspension arms. These will be going along with our MCS offerings for all of those cars, and 996 and 997 arms and MCS for those cars, not just GT cars. So all of them. So, yay! Welcome back, brother. Glad you left. Glad you left work early. I'm sure you're in need of a nap. Doug had a long day. For those of you that have had long days, cheers to being home from long days. So, hey, perfect. Aaron, we can get you all set up. You and Dougie both have similar cars. So Doug's is likely to be the guinea pig whenever the weather is good enough for him to be able to drive his GT3 for a bit, so we can get some things tested. But yeah, it'll be fun to get all of that together and onto the cars. So we're excited for that. That'll be a nice kind of mid-quarter probably roll out and say probably, well, I suppose it's mid-quarter next week. Make that closer to end of quarter. It's funny how quick time goes. It's already the 7th of February. So yeah. So 992 GT3s under the knife. Arrows making progress on the 3RS. We've been doing some stuff on Lab Mouse, which is our 991.1 GT3. I'm not going to share any of that yet, but got some stuff going on over the weekend, pulling an engine out, going to do some stuff, see how things go with that. But that's exciting as well, making progress. Yeah, I don't think I got anything else to report. Did I do? What else did I miss? I don't have it in front of me, so I don't remember. Oh, well, let's put up some of those pretty pictures. And give them a. How long is the movie? Yeah, the one we just dropped on YouTube. The newest one. Yeah, just go ahead and play for these guys for a second. We can just talk about it. Well, yeah, that's fine. That's fine. We can go through the 3D printed stuff. Yeah. So for those of you that weren't here, we had a new video drop on our YouTube channel. Take a look at it. With the help of our good friend Kirk Meyer, we got this one across the line. It's about the complexities of 3D scanning and what's all involved with actually using that tool, that is just a tool, to create parts. You can go through the whole thing, and the point of the video was a lot of folks believe that it's like 3D scan and poof, CAD pops out. That there's nothing that happens in the middle, and that's the part that takes the longest. And it can take a very long time. Like it took almost 3 months to go from scans to a completed 992 GT3 RS model. Speaking of, that once you have one, you can break stuff like this. Just lost a wheel, man down, like this. Uh-oh. Hey, there you go, but you killed it. So this is a model that Horvier had made by one of our 3D printers, which was super cool. This was a Christmas present. Unfortunately, it got damaged in shipping on its way here, so that's why there's a wing that's broken. This is not a wing you can stand on. I certainly wouldn't try it. That's maybe at scale you could, but not out of scale. So once you have a 3D printed or a properly scanned car, you can make a really cool model, which we haven't yet pulled any trigger on doing anything with these, but we have talked about offering these to the market. So consider that for something in the future. Grab this tire. Go ahead and roll some of those pretty pictures you took, and I'll just start talking about them. Bah. That is not the new aero pack. No, the lack of aero pack, and these are not our new wheels where all the spokes are missing. Although Ed might be able to tell you something about wheels with spokes missing. No fun. No fun when the spokes are missing. So are those bigger for everyone, or are they that small for everybody to see? I'm gonna blow them up. There you go. So everything you see in these pictures is 3D printed. Either it is the acronym is completely lost in my brain right now for MJF. Thank you, MJF. Yeah, I love that. Scan before print, before starting your scan, then it auto prints as soon as you're done. Absolutely. It's like a Star Trek teleporter. And you just like see it materialize as you're scanning it. Kind of shows up. Yes, those tips are at least 6 inches, Justin. At least. So the metal things on this screen are all 3D printed. To the extent that we 3D printed a metal that had not been 3D printed previously to our knowledge. We maybe someone has, but it wasn't commercially available. We actually worked with our vendor for this and said, hey, these particular alloys are good, but we'd really like this one. Can you do it? And they were so amenable. They're like, sure, we can try. And they tried, and they've been coming out great. So as they've been doing it and coming out great, we keep using it, and it keeps giving us back time. In some cases, the parts are more expensive, but they are eliminating 2 to 3 different steps of fabrication for us. So we get time back, so we're able to build more parts and build them more efficiently. The other thing is, every area that we can eliminate a joint that needs welding, that part's stronger. Just in general. Not say that our welding is bad, just in general, anytime there is a welded joint, it's going to be the area that it's going to be less strong than a contiguous part. Say it that way. So when you see pie cuts, they're really fancy, of titanium, this and that, and it's got all these little rings on it. That's really not great. It might make you think it's great, but it's not great. It's just Maybe it's pretty. I don't know. It's not very good. So for those who tout that they are using 3D printing, I mean, we don't even really talk about it. It just seems the right way to do it anymore, right? It's not an advertising or marketing thing. So much so that we forget to even say it a lot of the time. It just seems very obvious that this is how we should do it. If we were larger, we might cast some of these things such that we could have them in higher volume. Problem is, you can't quite get to the wall thickness we're able to achieve 3D printing versus a cast part. Cast, I believe, has to be a little thicker than what we're able to achieve with some of the 3D printed parts that we do, which is miraculous. It's great. It's great. We're very happy. Like our collectors. I'll give you a. This was one of the castings. I don't know if you guys can see this. This is one of the castings. This is one of the things that we were looking at doing early on. So we're going to take this casting. We're going to combine it with this casting, right? Weld this together. You guys can see this. Forrest has seen these because in a previous life, he tried to help us to laser weld these together. Didn't work very well. We're going to try and do this. Weld these all together to make collectors without any variants and yada, yada, yada. Let's just say that didn't work out very well. It was going to work. We were going to be able to figure out how to do it, but it was still a lot of work to be able to manage that. Now we can 3D print the entire collector, inclusive of the tab to hold the spring. That's also printed on there. So we don't even have to attach those anymore. We've got tabs to probably last us 20 years that we had custom made out of 321. We're gonna have them forever at this point. So these are all 3D printed bends. Those are actually coped bends. There's a bend in a bend that we printed. That used to be a bitch to a number of processes to have to cut and put together. And there's no post processing. This is how they show up. I mean, honestly, it's been a revolution for us, and it's I don't know how to say it. I don't want to sound pompous about it. It's the right way to do things at our size. It's just the right way to do things. It is possible that we invest in a 3D printer this year. There's a couple projects that we have to get across the line and see what the market acceptance is on them. We're hoping that when we can complete some 991 and 992 more advanced intake parts, intake plenums and the like, that with that demand, we would then be able to justify our own MJF printer. Currently, our demand is on the bubble-ish, and I'm always a little bit reluctant to get a new complex piece of machinery that needs at least a person or a person plus to care and feed it, and then the post-processing associated with it, yada, yada, yada. But by having our own tool, our R&D repetitions would go down. A lot of our inventory requirements would go down. We'd be able to just print on demand what it is we needed. So it'd be great. This is the video. Can they hear the audio or no? All right. So this is CD scanning the 992 G3RS, and even hit pause for a second. Even the way you go about scanning a thing has to be thought out, because you're essentially scanning an onion from the outside in. Ideally, you want to scan it from the inside out. That means you have to take everything off of the car that you want to scan. You're trying to get internals and everything else so that you know where you have spots to put wing uprights or splitter brackets or these kinds of things, and move it around existing parts. You got to kind of peel it all back and build up your scans from the zeros level, right? From the very, very bottom. We'll come back to that. So the even just how you scan the car will make or break the quality of the scan and how much you can use Um, the little dots are what give the scanner its position in space, and also to know um, uh, what the size of things are, because they're precise. They're very precise. Um, Silver car in the background does not have GA3Rs, but those are a good wheel choice for you for your 997. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Randomness is better. Inline is bad when you're putting these reflective markers on there, so that you don't end up with underlayers or other things that you might scan uh, with the computer and or the software trying to overlay them when they shouldn't be overlaid. So, and it takes so many dots. Oh my god. And of course, we always end up with black cars, and black cars are like mirrors. Um, one of these days, I would love to be able to get a PTS orange car. Maybe when Porsche moves to America, I can do that. That would be awesome. But yeah, always got to calibrate the tool. Every time we use it, it gets calibrated. That's a very similar design to the GA3R. You're right, Justin. So this is layer one, and it keeps going and going. Our scanner is about 8 years old now, so it's a little slower than some of the more modern, more advanced scanners. They have blue light, a couple other things going on. They raster, but honestly, for our use, it works great. That's what a side of a car looks like once it's scanned. You put all the scans together, and you get all the other crap out of it. This is a program called Quick Surface. We use that as kind of a way to clean and pull primitives. They're called primitives, where you would get the shapes and the planes and some of these things off of the scan, off of the polygons. And from those primitives, you can then begin to build CAD models. This is a finished CAD model. I think the deviation in that CAD model about is no more than a half a millimeter from the scan, which is phenomenal. Especially across the size of a whole freaking car, right? So fantastic. Could it be tighter? Yes. Is it tight enough for our use? Absolutely. And because it would just take longer if we wanted it to be even more precise. Take a look at the video. Uh, Anybody has any questions about 3D printing in for small business and manufacturing? It's funny. I was talking to Charles about this the other day. I feel like there's a market opportunity for what we've done internally to help other businesses do. Because I think a lot of people don't view themselves as a technology company. We view ourselves as a technology company at the end of the day. We're a manufacturing company, of course. We sell bits, but a we embrace technology quickly and often. So whenever there is a way to do something better, faster, more efficiently, and it doesn't require a large capital outlay, because it's also a thing with small business. We don't have shareholders that we can ask to give us a couple $100 million so we can go buy a whole fleet of 3D printing tools and use them at 10% capacity. That's just silly. Um, but being able to adopt and adapt to new technologies and embrace them is what it's all about. What it's all about. I feel like there's an opportunity out there in the world um, to help other companies do that. So I don't think consultancy is right. I think it'd be like design them parts and then sell them to them, kind of thing. But we'll see where that goes. This has kind of just been kicking around in my head. And I share it openly on YouTube so that anybody can take the idea and run with it. You're welcome. Anywho. Yeah, I think that's it. Oh, but wait, there's one more. There's one more. This is the FAQ segment. So questions asked this week. Hey, these parts don't fit. I'm sorry, did you read the instructions? Oh. So that's the FAQ for this week. Those of you that know what you're looking at can probably tell what's going on, but we do have instructions. We spend a lot of time trying to get the instructions together adequately such that people can read them and thoroughly understand them. Sadly, these parts come printed with pictures on them for what side of the car they go on. And they were still put on, they weren't put on the wrong side of the car. They were just put on 180 degrees out. They were put on backwards. So somebody was having a rough day. Hopefully they don't take offense if they see this, that we're making light of it. I get it. Working on cars is hard. Doing stuff that you've never seen before can be hard. And I mean, I was making coffee the other day. I've got the fancy coffee maker at home. And you pre-dose the beans so that they're like 18 grams. And you pour them in the grinder. You have the cup underneath the grinder, and then the grinds come out. And then you've got the cup goes on top of the portafilter, and there's a little trap door mechanism in it. You kind of pull that up, and all the grinds fall in the portafilter, and you tamp all that down. You stick it in the espresso machine, make yourself coffee. Sounds more complicated than it is, but pretty simple. I was talking to Ted on the phone. I literally poured the coffee beans directly into the cup and then started to put them in the portafilter mid-sentence. And I just caught myself staring at this thing full of beans going, wait, I missed a step. Pretty easy to fix. Poured it in the grinder and fixed it. But yeah, happens to the best of us. So, anywho, anybody got any questions for us this fine evening? I think there's a couple that I glossed over. I think Taj Sport, our local chat moderator, is helping address some of them. How to handle your bean, indeed. Because we riffing, yes, sir. We did not have a lot planned. Not a whole lot happened. We pulled this together in about 45 minutes before Whiskey Friday. So, thank you, Bloomberg, for producing an article that was at least interesting. You make sure to hold your grind 6 inches away from your receptacle when you're holding your bean. Yeah, got to make sure that. Yeah, sure, Aaron. So the Carrera suspension, in general, the non-GT cars, as Charles calls them, the pedestrian Porsches. I heard him say that the other day, and I don't know if that's what he said, but that's what I heard, and it stuck. It just stuck. The pedestrian Porsches. Oh man, we're gonna get in trouble. It's okay. So they don't have the amount of adjustment in them that the GT cars come with. Like the lower control arms in a Carrera aren't split so that you can put shims in there to add camber. They're one piece, and they have a little bit of adjustment, but not much. So yes, that is a 991 dot. I think that's 991. Yeah, that's 991. And you see that we've got provisions for all the factory stuff, the factory brake duct, the factory ride height sensors. All of that's going to be a part of these suspension arms. You'll be able to get a lot more adjustment. You'll also be able to remove some of the 4RS we already have. Oh, that's another question. I'll get to that one. I got strong opinions about that, Mike. So in essence, you can remove rubber from the system before everybody goes, oh, I don't want my car to ride too harsh. if you've driven a 991.2 GT3 RS YSOC, that's not really harsh. It's not like clickety clackety, crabby, yucky. It's just nice, right? It's just nice. So removing rubber makes the car more precise. It doesn't necessarily make it more harsh. Harshness can be controlled with the damper. So that's why the suspension packages, and there will be levels like there always are, right? With most of the things that we do. Because probably for most road feel and steering, you want to concentrate on the front. The rear will need a little bit. If you're like some guys are taking 991.2 turbo Carreras and making track cars. So they and these parts would be center cut for cars like that don't have a lot of adjustability, that need it, and they need to get the rubber out so they can keep their alignment very precise as they're going around the racetrack. They get great car feel. This is going to be a daily / backroads blaster. Great way to do that. So lots of application for this. We are in the midst of producing tuning guides. This is something that Ted and I chatted about. It's probably time for us to do that because we're getting a lot of do this, then do this, then do this, then do this, then do this kind of progression. Especially once we get our deck lid done for the 991s. You can start adding aero to it, et cetera, et cetera. Deck lid, we give a quick update on that. The last time we hadn't figured out what we're doing for a rear brake light. We figured out what we're doing for a rear brake light. And we're going to be offering both a touring version of the deck lid for the 991.1 and 991.2 GT3s and Carreras and turbos, and a deck lid suitable for our Valkyrie wing. So this was a request from my ex-business partner and good friend Pat. He was like, "Oh man, if you could take a winged 991.2 GT3 and make it a touring with a little ducktail, so we've got some things coming for you, because I think everybody's going to be excited for. 4RS or 992.2 GT3. I would say for the $60,000 spread that you're going to have to outlay to trade in a 4RS best case and get a 992.2 GT3, you spend money upgrading your 4RS, because an upgraded 4RS will destroy a 992.2. It will not even be close. It already isn't. You take a 4RS and you put it up against 3RS. A 4RS Lab Rat against a 992 3RS. Ted is only like a half a second faster in a stock 992 3RS with MCS on it and fresh tires than the best that he's done with the 4RS Lab Rat. So we're starting to get a little jumpy, and it is about the time that our internet starts to take a dump. So it is almost 5:30. So anyway, a couple more questions, and then we will wrap it up for everyone, because it seems that Comcast has a regular shit to bedtime. Who knew? Sorry, 2/10. 2/10. Man, I sold it and I didn't even sell it right. Yeah. You watching the kilobits die? Yeah, all right. So I think it's time for us to sign off before we screw the pooch. Elon Musk, I would like to talk about cutting me off, man. That's not cool. No, I'm not. Frozen on this screen. Hello? Can you see me? Goodbye. All right. Yeah. Did it? Hey, Ramses, do you still have internet? It's not internet, dude. There's a timeout thing going on with your computer. Yes. This is going on. It's a